Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host Paul, and this video we're breaking down weapons.
Are you watching?
The new horror is one of my favourite films of the year, and there's definitely a lot going on with it. Throughout this video, we're going to be breaking down the big questions and hopefully explaining it all in a British accent. This includes things like how old Gladys is, what 217 really meant, and why they decided to Naruto Run. Lots of that in the film. With that out of the way though, thank you for clicking this. Now let's get into the breakdown.
At 2:17 in the morning, every kid woke up, got out of bed, walked downstairs, and into the dark, and they never came back.
Okay, so Weapons reveals that Gladys the Witch was behind the kidnapping of the kids. After arriving in the town, she went to live at the Lilies. That was the home of Alex and his two parents, which were quickly put under her spell. As we learn, Gladys is a parasite who slowly drains the life force of those under her spell. This leads to her becoming younger and younger, but unfortunately the parents aren't enough. Thus she instructs Alex to take a personal item from each of his classmates, and it's through this she can control them. Stealing them in the middle of the night, they're locked in the basement while she slowly saps their youth. Now throughout the film, we get the constant mention of parasites, whether it's on the whiteboard in the class, the discussion of tapeworms, or even the ant in the cordyceps. It's something that's there throughout. This is the first clue towards how Gladys works, in that she sides up to a host, lives with them, and then drains them. YouTube user Okran even pointed out on our last video how Gladys calls herself Ant, but if you say that phonetically, it can also play off an ant, so it's clever. Now Gladys' age is something that we get minor clues towards due to her mention of consumption. As many of you pointed out in our last video, this was a term for tuberculosis. In doing my research, I found this went as far back as the 17th century, so around the 1600s. What also happened back then was the Salem witch trials. So it's possible that Gladys was alive back then and has existed since by draining people's life force. But if that's the case, then why do Alex's parents think that she's a blood relative? Why? I mean, someone in the family would probably know if they had an auntie that had lived that long. We see Alex's parents talking at one point when they're under his spell, and though it's pretty slow, I think you could have them tell other people that what she wanted them to hear, if we're reaching. Personally though, I think she's able to implant false memories. Alex's dad says he doesn't really know her, and that his wife also doesn't really know her that well either. It's possible that the dad met a woman named Gladys once who she took the identity of. Due to not really remembering her, someone could easily take her place with little questions asked. They also refer to her at points as Alex's aunt, but also his mother's aunt as well, so something might be off. XX, an evil waffle X, they pointed out on our ending explain that his dad said he hadn't seen her for 15 years. However, when Gladys sees Alex, she says she hasn't seen him since he was a baby. Alex doesn't remember, but the fact he's not 15 years old kinda throws off the timeline a bit. Therefore, it's likely that she plants memories so that a family feel like they have to look after her. She then drains them, moves on, and does the same thing. The reason I think she has the power to do this is because we see her giving people hallucinations in the movie. For example, the addict sees her in the woods, and she also infects the characters' dreams. All of them see her without ever seeing her in real life, and thus she must be able to enter people's minds. It's also possible that this is why the police don't really investigate the disappearance to the level that they should. Even things like lining up the direction they ran in, yeah, that's something you think they would have looked at. But it's Archer who has to figure that out. Now, if you read the book then you'll know Pennywise and that basically infects the townspeople so they don't look too far into the kids' disappearances. Using its psychic abilities, it creeps into their minds and just numbs them to what's going on. This is also something that it does to the parents. Basically, the kids have to step up because all the parents are kind of checked out. Obviously, that's not the case with the parents here, but I do feel like the police aren't that bothered either. Everything we see Paul doing, he's not finding the kids anytime soon without a little help from his best mate James. So I do wonder if Gladys is entering the townsfolk's head and basically restricting them from doing their jobs. Now beyond that, we also have what 217 means in the movie. There's a lot of things going on with the film, but Josh Brolin said something really interesting on the Happy Sad Confused podcast.
I read the script immediately. I thought it was amazingly designed. It reminded me of like Following, like early Nolan and popping around, and I always loved that early Iñárritu, early Nolan thing. And my own book is
Very much about
nonlinear
perspective
and like past, future, this, that, and then I wanted to meet him, and I met him, and he told me immediately that every character was based on a reaction that he had had in the trajectory of his grieving process for a friend of his that had died. And we were both very emotional during that thing, and I was like, now this is so left field.
Yeah.
You know, this is we're talking about the same horror movie, right? You know, it's cosmetic and you know, all this kind of stuff, and then you're telling me about this profound experience. The underpinnings, and I love that. And then he's using the horror genre as a tool, you know, to manifest whatever this grief is that he's feeling.
Now, the person who this is likely Trevor Moore, who Cregger was friends with both personally and professionally. Both were in the comedy troupe The Widest Kids You Know, and sadly Moore lost his life in 2021. In our ending Explain, we pointed out how he died on the 7th of August, which is the day that the movie released if you're counting in the previews. Beyond that, Pan Start Walking pointed out that he died in 2021, and if we take the 7th as being the 7th, 21 as being that, you get 217. Though the time of Moore's death isn't known exactly, Teo Beth noted it was around 2:30 AM. Because of this, I think it's pretty clear that the number was chosen because of that. I feel like Archer desperately wanting to tell his son that he loved him and being sorry that he never did, that might be Cregger's feelings about his friend. However, there are some other things that it ties into. In our breakdown, we noted that there were 17 kids under the spell, with Justine and Alex being spared from the class. Thus, 2 and 17 make up the class of 19. We also have 17 students under the spell, and 2 adults if you count Alex's parents. Now, the Shining movie has the room 237, whereas in the book it's 217. There's clear nods to that, such as the head smashing through the door, children being chased by their parents, and an old hag who becomes a form of evil. We also have the possible ties to the Parkland shooting. This school shooting saw the death of 17 people, and it happened in February, which is of course the second month. So 217 again. If you read the original script for the movie, then you'll also know there's a section about Valentine's Day cards. Children have to give them out, and then this is what's used by Alex to help Gladys with the spell. That was removed from the movie, but the Parkland shooting happened on Valentine's Day, so it definitely feels apt. Especially with 217 appearing on that AR-15 in the sky. Now, Joe8166R6N, I've got to get all these names right, they pointed out something I think that definitely fits as well. During 2022, the US Congress posed a bill that would ban assault rifles. This came in with 217 votes to 213 and thus was too close to pass. So it never was. Joe further pointed out that in the opening monologue, they talked about how the town basically covered it up. This implies that another story was dreamt up and put in place of what happened. Now, this could even be the witch story that we see. Joe said the town came up with this to make the entire situation more bearable. Reading this, it made me think Matthew might be at the heart of it, or most likely Alex. They definitely play him like that sort of lone gunman stereotype, and going through his struggle, yeah, it feels kind of like that. We see Matthew as a bully, and the gun appears above his house, so he may have done it, or maybe Alex used that on him. Perhaps it got too much and he killed Matthew and sent the class to their deaths. Much like what he did for Gladys. Potentially he could have come from an abusive home, and the bullying got too much. Now Archer spends his nights sleeping in his son's bed, dreaming up these situations where he rescues his son. He finds him, but he's blank and expressionless because the character is dead. The movie ends by saying some of the kids started talking again, and this could be them finally talking about what really happened with the situation. The fact it says they were never seen again at the beginning, that hints to how the ending could be false. Perhaps the attack on Gladys is getting revenge for what she did to Alex and the person that she turned him into. Or maybe not. But yeah, I love how your mind can kind of wander down that path. His son Matthew may also be a reference to Matthew 2:17 in the Bible. This is about the execution of children carried out by King Herod, which may apply here. YouTube account Paige Pope Joy pointed out on our last video that the flood in the story of Noah came on the 17th day of the second month, so it may also tie into that. Beyond that, we see how lots of things are weaponized, whether it's the people or the items that they choose to numb the pain. Justine's an alcoholic that goes to the same liquor store, and eventually Donna uses one of these bottles to humiliate her. So she takes something that was pleasurable and weaponizes it against her. This is also seen in James the Addict. He gets high off the syringes, but then uses them as a weapon to stab Paul. So it carries on this notion of something that provides pleasure being weaponized. There's definitely the read that it's a comment on addiction, and even Alex's parents end up living like meth heads. Everything they've built has been weaponized against them, and their home becomes where they're infected. And it looks like a meth head house, I imagine. Well, I've seen Breaking Bad. It looks like the one in Breaking Bad, if my mum's watching. I've not been to meth head houses, mum. Now, that's also seen in Benedict Wong's character Marcus. He attacks his husband and vomits black bile on him before going on a rampage. Shoutouts to Ryan Hollinger for pointing out that the vomit is similar to something an alcoholic might throw up after a heavy day of drinking. He ends up smashing his head like the like button and getting blood all over his top. What he needs to do though is get a change of clothes from our merch store below the video and check out our new shirts. We've got brand new Spider-Man brand new day ones, but if horror's more your thing, then check out our new Pennywise one. We also have ones for Aliens and Predator to get you ready for Alien Earth and Badlands. Our summer sale is still going on, and if you buy 3, you get 20% off. We've got a kids line on there as well, so definitely check them out below. Shabow! Now, as for why they did Naruto Run, I did find quite a solid explanation for that, but firstly I want to kind of talk about my interpretation, because that's what Cregger's is like. It's up to you to decide what it is. I think the movie's tone kind of leans into extreme horror, and this is balanced with humor. The run itself's kind of a quirky meme now that feels fun and upbeat. Like Storm Area 51, yeah, they were doing it there and it kind of just looked ridiculous. So plays into that. The run is extremely static in its movements, with the arms held out to the side while the legs do all the motion. So it plays in this idea of unnatural control. Gladys just wants them to run, and there's nothing more centered on that than their torso and arms held in place while just their legs move. It's quite a striking way to travel as well, and because of this it becomes instantly recognizable. So having something that's used in an anime in this way kind of subverts that and adds that extra feeling of horror. Craig has also said it was based off the Napalm Girl photograph from the Vietnam War. Can't show it because of YouTube censorship and nudity, but this is a girl running naked with her arms stretched out that's said to be one of the most horrifying things he's ever seen. This vastly changed people's feelings towards the Vietnam War due to children being victims in it, and that definitely applies to the film. And because he said it, yeah, I'm gonna take his word for it. Archer also describes Marcus as acting like a heat-seeking missile, and this plays into the nature of the title weapons. Our editor Matt even brought up how the triangle that appears throughout the movie might even be a reference to a first-person shooter. If you play in the PlayStation, then chances are you're gonna press triangle to switch weapons. Yeah, it's clever. It may also be a Wiccan symbol as well. Triangles represent the triple goddess, and this is next to a 6 on a bell. 666 is of course associated with the devil, though we do only see 1 6 on the bell. Cregger's has merged voodoo and Wiccan ideas to basically create how Gladys does what she does. This is through black twigs which she grows on a tree. This is the most important possession in her life, put not intended there, and she makes sure that Alex's dad takes great care with it. It's possible that this is based off a blackthorn, which would tie in with those old witch suspicions. This was said to be a magical tree that could cause pain and suffering when the branches were snapped. However, it does look different to what we see in the movie. Lastly, one of the biggest questions is, who is the narrator? Well, the script lists the character's name as Maddie, and that's also the name of the film's opening song on the soundtrack. We never meet this character, but she's voiced by Scarlett Sher. Personally, I believe the story of the children has become somewhat of an urban legend now and is told through the town by the kids. Remember when I was younger, yeah, casting my mind back, and there was a story about a troll that lived on the reservoir near my house, and I refused to go up there until I was like 34. I'm sure everyone had that house next to them though that people said was haunted or a witch lived there, and you refused to knock on it for Halloween. And the person who went down the driveway was like, he's actually knocking, and you knock on the door and be like really nice people, and you'd be like, oh, maybe the world isn't full of witches. But that's what the witches want you to think. That's what I see this story becoming though, with that being how people may even see Alex's parents. It's like a meth head house, isn't it? And it's like, I'm not knocking on that house, it's haunted. Last question is it Zach Cregger or is it Zach Krieger? Well, it's written Cregger, but so many people have said Krieger's in their video that I'm starting to think that's because there's no way you'd look at that name and say it was Krieger's unless it's actually Krieger. Anyway, I hope that's answered the main questions that you have about the movie. Please drop a like as well, and if you leave a comment with your thoughts and another question, someone smarter than me, they're probably going to answer it. If you want to follow us on Instagram as well and keep up to date with what we're doing, then make sure you check us out at Heavy Spoilers. Did you know as well that members of the channel also get early access to videos every week? If you click the join button, you get at least one breakdown a week before anyone else. Costs just 99 cents a month. Hopefully that's not a lot to you, but if all you guys do it on the channel, I'll be a multi-millionaire and I'll be laughing to the bank. Ha 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 ha! But yeah, please do it, yeah? Please. If you want something else to watch, why not check out our breakdown of the film on screen right now? That's our big ending explain one. Talk about some different stuff to hear, some other interpretations, and hopefully I'll see you over there right after this. If not, then tell you what, mate, I'm furious with you. You're in big trouble skipping out on a video, and I'll never forgive you. So I'll see you next time. I'll see you over there, mate. I know you're going there now. Take care. Peace.